Two contradictory provisions in the highly controversial good conduct and time allowance statute are the root of the misinterpretation in enforcing it. This as a result of the admission of the nation's head warden and prisons chief. He autographed the release order of a 7 life-termer and 2 other murderers/rapists in today's highly anticipated Senate hearing. The added details in this report from PTV senior correspondent Eunice Samonte.
This is a copy of the release order of former Calauan Laguna Mayor Antonio Sanchez, signed by Bucor Chief Yusek Nicanor Fealdon and approved under Good Conduct Time Allowance or GCTA, the very reason for these Senate debates.
Pag-aaralan namin kung paano namin lilinisin. Nagmamadali kami rito para maayos talaga.
Bucor Chief also answered the allegations thrown at him that caused the release of more or less 2,000 prisoners.
I have been discussing how we can legally stop the release of Mayor Sanchez, because I know that, because I'm not a lawyer, so I know that he may have done a lot of infractions because of those, I saw on television some of those drugs that were found in his room, I think twice, and then yung kanyang kubol. But the explanation to me by the legal officers is that the manual says that it is only during that month that those violations were done that the GCTA can be deducted.
According to Fealdon, he was just following the manual of GCTA in which he cannot invoke his own discretion. He also emphasized that he is strongly against the release of Sanchez. Meanwhile, Senator Lacson did not seem to be convinced of Fealdon's explanation. Instead, he showed documents exposing the release of high-profile inmates, including the suspect for the death of Chong's sisters and 4 convicted Chinese drug lords. DOJ Secretary Menardo Guevara suggested to clarify the provisions of this law and make it more specific, particularly the coverage of heinous crimes, to avoid confusion.
The implementing rules and regulations which were formulated during the time of Secretary De Lima of the DOJ and Secretary Rojas of the DILG followed closely the provisions of the law itself. And that means to say that there is no very clear statement or provision as to whether those convicted of heinous crimes are excluded from the benefit of the law.
In line with this, some senators already filed a resolution to amend GCTA and be more specific. On the other hand, during the hearing, one of the parents was rushed to the hospital due to high blood pressure because of intense emotions.
Sa mga naging biktima, hindi po papayag si Pangulong Duterte na gano'n na lang po, basta-basta. So, sabi ni Pangulong Duterte, magkakaroon rin siya ng sarili niyang investigasyon.
Based from the data presented in the Senate, out of 1,900 released inmates, 797 were murder cases, and 758 were cases of rape. Other senators are pushing for the resurrection of death penalty to avoid such complications in GCTA. Eunice Samonte for The Nation.